Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the first talk in this Muharram series. So, in this series, we're going to be looking at a different topic every day. And these topics are going to do with, Muharram and the tragedy of Karbala. And to start off today, we'll first look at the month of Muharram itself. So, what this month is all about, why it's so important to us, and what it teaches us. And then we're going to look at the journey of Imam Hussain today. So the journey that he took from Medina, which is where he used to live, all the way to Karbala, which is where the Battle of Karbala took place. Right. So let's start off. We'll, like I said, look at the month of Muharram first, right? So the month of Muharram is the first month in the Islamic year. So just like how we have an English calendar and January is the first month, we also have an Islamic calendar. And Muharram is the first month of that Islamic calendar. And it is also one of the most important months for us in the entire year. And the reason for that is because it is in this month that we remember Imam Hussain and the sacrifice that he, his family, and his companions made for the sake of Islam. Right? They sacrificed everything to save the religion of Islam. And the fact that we are Muslims today and we have Islam with us is because of Imam Hussain. Right? So usually in Muharram, we go to different places, like to different centers in Imam Bargas to attend majlises. So what is a majlis first? So a majlis is basically a gathering in which we learn about Islam, and particularly in Muharram, it's about the story of Karbala. Now things are a bit different since last year because of COVID, and it depends on where you're watching this from. You might be in lockdown or you might not, but that doesn't matter. Even if you're just at home and you're with your parents and your siblings and you're all sitting together and watching a majlis or learning about Islam, learning about Karbala, that is a majlis as well. Right, so in these majlises in Muharram, we learn about the sacrifice of Imam Hussain and his companions when they fought the army of Yazid. And the day that they fought the army of Yazid, the Battle of Karbala, it took place on, does anybody know when the Battle of Karbala took place? It took place on the 10th of Muharram, which is also called the day of Ashura, right? So that's when the tragedy took place. But there was an entire journey that Imam Hussain, before even coming to Karbala, there was an entire journey that he, went through, and that's what we'll look at today. But before that, before we go into his journey, let's do a very quick recap of who Imam Hussain is. Just in case you've forgotten or there are some new things that someone can learn, we'll just do a very quick revision. So try and answer these questions. I'll give you a chance to answer them, and let's see if you can get them right, and they'll be a really good refresh for you before we start off with our topic. So Imam Hussain is our dash. Which Imam is Imam Hussain? Imam Hussain is our third Imam, right? He was born in, does anybody know where Imam Hussain was born? Which is also where he used to live. He was born in Medina. Imam Hussain is the grandson of our beloved. Who is Imam Hussein's grandfather? It's Prophet Muhammad, right? His father's name is, who is also our first Imam, is Imam Ali. And his mother's name is, who is Imam Hussein's mother? Sayyida Fatima. Imam Hussain also has a brother named, who is our second Imam. Who is Imam Hussein's brother, who is also our second Imam? Yes, Imam Hassan, right? So this is the family of Imam Hussain, and they are also called the Ahlul Kisa, which means the people of the cloak, right? So Imam Hussein's got a very special family, right? He belongs to he belongs to the Ahlul Kisa, right? So they're very, very special. That's where Imam Hussain comes from. Yep. So now we have we have everything fresh in our mind. So let's get into our main topic for today. So we are going to look at what events led to the tragedy of Karbala. Right. So what happened was that Imam Hussain, he refused to give allegiance to Yazid. So first, let's look at what the word allegiance means, right? So allegiance means that you agree to follow someone, right? When you agree to follow someone and support someone and you're willing to be loyal to them, it means that you are giving your allegiance to them, right? So what happened was when Muawiyah, who was the father of Yazid, when he died, Yazid took power, right? So Yazid, he claimed to be the Khalifa. He claimed that he was the leader of all Muslims. And the reason he claimed to be the leader is because he said that he was, the best of all Muslims. And that wasn't true at all. Yazid would not follow any of the rules of Islam. He would, in fact, do everything that Islam has asked us not to do. So clearly, he was not the best of all Muslims, right? But Yazid, he claimed to be the leader. And the reason he did that was because he was after money and he was after power, right? So when his father died, he wanted everybody to accept him as their leader and to give allegiance to him, including Imam Hussain, right? And so because if everybody did that, he would have everybody following him and he would be the most powerful. So he wanted Imam Hussain to give him allegiance. So what Yazid did was he sent his governor that he had in Medina called Walid. He sent him to he asked Walid to call Imam Hussain and ask for his allegiance from him. Now, Imam Hussain knew what kind of a person Yazid was. He knew that Yazid wasn't a good person, and so he wasn't going to give allegiance to him. So when he received that invitation from Walid to, to come to his house, Imam Hussain, he suspected, he kind of knew that this is what Walid's going to ask me. So what Imam Hussain did, he went to Walid's house, he took some of his family members with him, and he made them stand outside Walid's house. And he said to them that, only if you hear loud voices from inside the house is when you will come in, right? So Imam Hussain, he goes into the house of Walid and he has a meeting with him. And in that meeting, Walid, orders Imam Hussain to give his oath of allegiance to Yazid. So here, Imam Hussain, he didn't want to directly say no, right? He wanted to kind of strategically avoid it in that moment. So what Imam Hussain said to Walid was, he said, wouldn't you prefer that I give my allegiance in public so that everybody knows about it? And Walid thought, oh, yeah, that's a good idea, So you can do it in the morning when everybody is there in front of everybody. You can give your allegiance. But there was another person called Marwan who was Walid's advisor. He stepped in and he warned Walid. He said, don't let Imam Hussain go, because if you let him go now, you're not going to be able to get him back. And so what Marwan said to Walid is, you pressurize and force the Imam to give his allegiance now, otherwise, they will kill him. And at that, Imam Hussain, he gave a very famous speech. He said to them, he introduced himself. He talked about his background. So, what we just looked at as well. who, he told them about who his family is, that he's the grandson of the Prophet and his parents are Imam Ali and Bibi Fatima, and this is where he comes from. And then he spoke about Yazid's evil character and what kind of a person he was, and he was just after money and power. And after he said all of this, Imam Hussain, he said some very famous words. He said, "A person like me cannot pledge allegiance to a person like him," right? And that's when, the voices in the house started getting louder, and Imam Hussein's family, who was waiting outside, they came in to protect the Imam, and the Imam was able to leave Walid's house without being harmed. And immediately, Imam Hussain then decided that he's going to leave Medina with his family. Right. So yeah. So here, there was a lot of confusion among the people as to, Imam Hussain has now decided that he's going to leave with his entire extended family, and people were like, why is he taking his family with him, right? And this was all a part of Allah's wisdom, because if Imam Hussain, he didn't take his family with him, then there would be no one to spread the message of Imam Hussain. Because on the 10th of Muharram, when Imam Hussain and his family members and companions would be killed, they would all be martyred. There would be no, if he didn't take his other family members with him, there would be no one to tell everyone what happened in Karbala, because it was actually Imam Zainul Abidin and Bibi Zainab who spread the message of Imam Hussain and what happened in Karbala. They're the ones who told everyone. So if he didn't take his family, no one would know what Yazid has done and what happened in Karbala. So that's why he took his entire family with him. So he leaves Medina, Imam Hussain, he leaves Medina and he travels towards Makkah. Right, so Makkah is where we have the Holy Kaaba, right? So Makkah is considered a safe haven, right? So a very safe place, because it is haram to fight around the vicinity of the Kaaba, right? So you can't fight anywhere near or around the Kaaba. It's haram to do that. So Imam Hussain, he went there because he would be safe there. No one would be able to harm him, right? And so when Imam Hussain left Medina and he goes to Makkah, that news started to spread everywhere. So everybody started to find out that Imam Hussain has refused to give allegiance and he has gone to Makkah. So one of the cities where the people had found out was a city called the city of Kufa, right? So Kufa there were lots of Muslims living there. When they heard this, they started writing letters to Imam Hussain, inviting him to Kufa. They said in their letters that, they're there to support the Imam and they'll, be there with him. They'll have an army for him and they're going to stand with him against Yazid. So they really wanted Imam Hussain to come to Kufa so that they can all, stand with the Imam. So Imam Hussain, what he did was he told one of his cousins, whose name was Muslim ibn Aqil. He said to him that, you go to Kufa and find out what's happening over there. Look at the situation and then, tell me what's happening. Tell me the situation of whether, all of these people are willing to support me or not, and, what's happening in Kufa. Muslim ibn Aqil was a very faithful believer, and he was the cousin of Imam Hussain, and Imam Hussain really trusted him, right? So he trusted whatever Muslim ibn Aqil would tell him. So Muslim ibn Aqil, he sets out and he goes to Kufa. And when he reaches Kufa, there were so many Muslims there who were ready to, stand with Muslim and, support Imam Hussain. So around 18,000 Kufans, they pledged their allegiance to support Imam Hussain at that time. So Muslim ibn Aqil, he writes a letter back to Imam Hussain telling him that, there are these many people, they're willing to support you and, you should come. So you should come to Kufa. So Imam Hussain, so what happens when, after Muslim ibn Aqil, he sends that letter to Imam Hussain, and after a very short while, things change very quickly, and eventually Muslim ibn Aqil he's betrayed and he's martyred, right? So he dies in Kufa. And we won't go into the detail of that story today because you'll be looking at that tomorrow. So we'll just look at it from Imam Hussein's point of view, right? So Imam Hussain, he's now received that letter from Muslim ibn Aqil, and he sets out to leave from Makkah to Kufa, right? So he still hasn't found out that Muslim ibn Aqil has been martyred. He's also, however, Imam Hussain has found out that Yazid, he has sent people to Makkah who are pretending to be there for Hajj, but they're actually there to kill Imam Hussain, right? So he also finds this out, and he doesn't want any blood to be shed around the Kaaba, so he decides to leave Makkah and go to Kufa. Now, on his way to Kufa, he finds out that Muslim ibn Aqil has been martyred, right? So he had already left Makkah and he was on the way to Kufa, and that's where he gets that news. So now Imam Hussain is now on the way to Kufa, and in his journey, in the middle of the journey, it's near Kufa, he is stopped by the army of Hur ibn Yazid, right? So Hur at that time was someone who was a supporter of Yazid. And so basically he was an enemy of Imam Hussain, and he was standing up against Imam Hussain, right? So when Imam Hussain, he meets Hur and Hur stops him, at that time Hur's army was extremely thirsty, right? So they had run out of water, they didn't have, and they were very thirsty. So Imam Hussain, he despite knowing that, Hur is a supporter of Yazid, and he's stopping me right now. But even then, Imam Hussain, he gave water to everybody in Hur's army, including the horses, right? So, and at that time, even it was the time for prayers, and Hur's army, they even prayed behind the Imam, right? So the reason why Hur was there, he had come to stop Imam Hussain because he wanted to make sure that Imam Hussain is going to go to Kufa, right? Imam Hussain because he had found out that Muslim ibn Aqil has been killed, he didn't want to go to Kufa anymore, right? So he wanted to return back. But Hur did not allow that. He wanted Imam Hussain to go to Kufa. And in that, Imam Hussain wants to go to Medina, and Hur wants Imam Hussain to go to Kufa. So in that, they decide that, okay, they're neither going to go to Kufa nor Medina, and they're going to go in a different direction. And in that, when they went in that different direction, they ended up reaching Karbala, right? So that is how Imam Hussain he reaches Karbala. So again, here we see another wisdom of Allah, right? Allah had destined Imam Hussain to go to Karbala because that's where the battle was supposed to take place. So he could have not given them water, right? He could have just denied them water, but that's not who Imam Hussain is. Imam Hussain is has one of the best characters and one of the best akhlaq, right? He showed us at that time that even if you have an enemy in front of you, or even if someone is doing something bad to you, you don't need to do something bad as well, right? You should only be responding to people with good things. So even if there is someone who treats you unfairly or is mean to you, you shouldn't be mean back, or you shouldn't treat them badly as well. You need to be good at all times. And that's what Imam Hussain taught us, right? That's what he showed, that Hur was a supporter of Yazid, but he didn't, deny them water. Even though after a few days, even in the land of Karbala, when Imam Hussain needed water, these same soldiers, they denied water to Imam Hussain. Right, so that was, we looked at that. So you always repel evil with goodness. Yeah. So that is our topic done for today. And we looked at, the entire journey of Imam Hussain, and we did a bit of revision on the month of Muharram and who Imam Hussain is. So now, just to end today's session, we'll end with a quick activity, and it's based on everything that we talked about today. So I'm going to give you a chance to answer them. I'll read each sentence, and I want you to try and answer the question. Try your best. It's okay to be wrong, and let's get started. So the first one, Yazid demands allegiance of Imam. So just a clue here, the numbers at the end of the sentence, they're a clue as to how many letters the answer has, right? So this first one, it has 6 letters. So we talked about this. Yazid demands allegiance of Imam Hussain, right? Next one, the Imam leaves dash at night with his family. So where was Imam Hussain threatened and he had to, he had to leave? This is where he used to live. He leaves Medina. All right, third one, the Imam arrives at, he leaves Medina and he arrives at, which is where we also have the Holy Kaaba, at Makkah. Right, fourth one, people of dash invite the Imam. So when the Imam was in Makkah, people from which city invited the invited the Imam? People of Kufa. Right, next one. Hazrat, so the H dot means Hazrat dash, goes to Kufa as Imam's messenger. So who did Imam Hussain send, who was also his cousin, to Kufa? Hazrat Muslim, right? Muslim ibn Aqil, right? All right, next one. Hazrat Muslim arrives in, so, he's sent to Kufa. Imam leaves from dash to Kufa. So when he Imam Hussain receives a letter from Muslim ibn Aqil to come to Kufa, where was he? Where did he leave from? He was in Makkah. Yeah. Next one, Hazrat Muslim is betrayed and dash. In Kufa, Hazrat Muslim was betrayed and martyred. All right, second last one. Imam Hussain was stopped by dash on the way to Kufa. Stopped by Hur. And last one, Imam arrives in, where did Imam eventually arrive? Where did his journey end? In Karbala. Right, all right, so that's it for today. I hope you were able to learn something new, and I hope you enjoyed today's session. We'll see you back again tomorrow, inshallah. Khuda Hafiz.